Hi everyone, I'm Katie and I wanted to show you how to do a little Christmas craft. It's quite easy, could be a bit fiddly, but I'm sure you can all do it. I'm going to show you them. They're these little baubles, which I have to say I saw on Pinterest, so I can't claim the idea as my own, but I've had a go at making some and want to show you how to do it. And it's just paper and some thread, so hopefully it's things that you should have at home. You shouldn't have to go and buy anything in particular, even though we are allowed in the shops now, aren't we? I'm actually just using wrapping paper to make these baubles. So I've got this wrapping paper, which is kind of thick paper, and I've got this gold wrapping paper that actually was a present that someone gave me. What we're going to do first is we're going to make some little paper beads, which you can see are hanging on the top here and the bottom there. So what we're going to do is you need some of your wrapping paper. I'm going to use this gold bit, and I've just cut a strip out. The longer your strip is, the fatter the bead's going to be, but this is about 40 centimetres long. And then to make the different shapes of the bead depends on the shape of the paper that you cut out and that you roll. So what I've done on this piece of paper is at one end I've got a thick, a thicker bit, so that will be the height of the bead, and then going down more to a point down here, and that will be the middle bit. But actually when you do this, all three bits of paper are going to be used to make beads. So I'm just going to use a craft knife to cut that, but you can use scissors if you haven't got a craft knife, that's absolutely fine. Cut that down there. And then I'm going to turn it around and cut it on this side. So you just want to make sure that each end's kind of got a little bit of thickness. It can go into a point, but it's just easier to stick down if it's actually more of a square at the end. And then what you need is a cocktail stick. And we're going to glue, I'm just going to get some paper so I'm not gluing on my cutting board. And we're just going to put glue all the way up this piece of paper. So I'm just going to put glue all the way down. And then this bit can be a little bit fiddly, but you just try and kind of pinch it over the cocktail stick and tuck it in, and then just start rolling. You want to try and do it quite tight if you can. End up getting a bit of a system going. So it twists up. And just hold that in place for a minute, a few seconds, just to make sure it's really stuck. And then sometimes you might find it's stuck to your cocktail stick, so you just give it a bit of a twizzle. And then pull it out, and there you've got a little bead. It's quite cute. So you probably need to make at least 2 of these for each bauble. But on some of them I've put 3, 1 at the bottom, 2 at the top. And so what you can do is you can use your other strips to make the other ones. So they're going to be the beads that we use on the top and the bottom of the bauble. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the main bit of the bauble. So we'll just have another look here. So we've got the wrapping paper here, and it will be threaded through the middle. Now I found that with the wrapping paper, if it's a bit thin, then it's quite tricky. It doesn't really kind of hold itself as well. A bit like these ones, they're a bit squashy. And also because you can see through because of the gaps, it's quite nice to stick 2 bits of wrapping paper together and have them either the same or different colours. It just makes it a little bit thicker, especially if you've got quite thin wrapping paper. Then I'd use maybe some card to stick it to. What I've done here, so we're going to end up cutting some strips, and we need to have 5 strips. And I've done a little template here, which you don't have to do. You don't have to be as accurate as me. I just like being accurate. So each strip is 20 centimetres long and then 1 centimetre wide. And I've drawn it on a piece of card, so then it's just easy if I want to make lots, I can just put it on my paper and draw around it. The other thing I've done on it is I've made some holes, which is where we're going to thread through the paper. And the way I've done that is I've just got a bit of blue tack like this, and either your cocktail stick, depending on how thick, so your paper can probably do the cocktail stick. The card, I used a needle, and you just put it on and poke it through. So I'm going to use my template on this gold, because I'm going to have gold on the inside. Okay, so I'm just going to lay this on to here, and I'm going to just draw around it. Like this. And then at the moment you don't need to do the holes into it because you're going to be sticking them together, so you're not going to see the holes. I made that mistake the first time, spent a lot of time putting the holes in, and then realised I was going to stick a bit of paper on top of it. This is the sole, they're all the ones I've actually done. So I'm also learning slightly at this, which is often what happens when you see something on Pinterest. You have to kind of work out yourself how it actually is going to work. Okay, so that's my gold piece. So I'm just going to do the same with my blue and gold piece. Okay, so now we're going to stick our two bits together. So you just need to cover one side completely with glue. And then stick it on top. So that's just made it a little bit thicker, so it should kind of curve and bend a bit more. So now we're going to go back to our template, and we're going to use on the inside, so it's going to be folded this way. So this is the outside, this is the inside, and we're going to make some marks. Now I did discover that pencil is quite hard to see, so I'm going to use a pen. So these marks at the end here are just kind of about 1/2 centimetre in. It's just so there's a little bit of overlap. And then try to get it in the centre of each strip, kind of this way. And the other thing we need to do is we need to mark our widths, our 1 centimetre strips. Oops. So again, I'll just do a little line there. Okay, and then I'm going to use my ruler. Going to line it up, cut that down, that's one, okay, right, there we have our little strips. Okay, and at this point, this is when I've remembered that actually I've done a Blue Peter thing and done, here's one I made earlier. So you can see those bits, so I've actually got some here where I've then gone round and I've pushed the hole in it. This is the same as these, and then these ones I've punched the holes in. So I've just got one more to do here. So I'm going to use my needle and my piece of blue tack. Okay, and then just put a little hole in there, and at the end, and at the other end. Okay, so now we've got 5 pieces that are all double-sided and with holes, 3 holes in each place. Okay, so now we move on to putting it together. So we've got our little beads as well that we're going to use, and then I've got some gold kind of embroidery thread that I'm going to use, but you don't have to use gold, you can use any thread you like. You could use string. I did try it with cotton. That's a bit tricky because it's so thin that it's quite hard to tie a knot and for the beads to stay on it. So I'd go for something a bit thicker. And then think about how long you want your bauble to be, and then give yourself a bit of extra length. So I'm going to go about there. I'm going to cut that. Okay, then I'm going to thread my needle. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get the equal lengths and then tie it in a knot. We'll probably do this twice so that the paper bead doesn't fall off the end. So do once there, and then tie another knot rather, and try and get it so it's over the top of your first knot, so it's really thick. Okay, so now we're ready to put our bauble together. So we're going to take our first little bead and thread that on. Now we're going to thread on our 5 strips, and we want the gold side up because that's going to be on the inside. So put that through the holes. We've got 1. Okay. Number 4 and number 5. And if you did want to do lots of these, then I'd probably suggest doing lots of kind of the different stages all at once. So kind of cut lots of squares out, then cut them all into the lengths and then pierce them all. Now we're going to tie a little knot just to hold the bits of paper together. Now another tip to try and get your knot kind of right tight where you want to, if you hold on to your thread that's coming out through the middle of the hole and hold your fingers down there, then as you pull, your thread kind of has to be down the bottom there. So, and then that last bit just not quite let go too early. And there we go. So that will hold those together. There is an order to do this in, just so that you get a bit of a smoother sphere. You're going to start with the bottom one and then work round in order, you know, which one's the next highest up until you finish with the top one. So that means that the bottom one, this side, is the nearest on that side and the top one is the furthest away. So I'm going to just start with this one. Go through there. Now the other thing I have found is that you actually want to glue it together as well, because again otherwise it will kind of jump up and down and it won't sit so nicely. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue at the end there on this one. So I'm going to do each strip, the opposite ends together. So pop that through there. And then it starts to come together, and then I'm just going to hold that together like that, just to help that stick. Okay, so that's the first one. Then I'm going to find the next one up, which is this one. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this one. And then pull that through. And you kind of leave just a little bit of space. You can kind of see if you just splay it out like that, how many you're going to need to fit in. So, and then you're basically just carrying on all the way around doing that. And then the last one there. Oops. Okay, and this is the trickiest one to try and stick because there isn't really any space to hold it. Okay, and there you have your little bauble. So you can then just move these about a little bit if you can, if you haven't stuck them. Ooh. And I'm going to pull the thread just slightly through, just to squash it a bit like that. I quite like that shape where it's a little bit squished. And then we're going to put another bead on. Got one there, and I've got another little one, oops, here that's jumping everywhere. Put that on there. And then you can either tie a knot, depending on how your paper is, or you can leave it like that. And then just at the end here, we're going to tie a knot to the length that you want it to be. So maybe there. And then we cut the thread. That will release your needle. And there we have it. Little Christmas bauble. So I hope you have fun making some yourself. And they can be, these ones are nice and kind of golden and a bit muted, but I also have found this wrapping paper, nice rainbow stripes, and I've made these ones out of those. So I've ended up just cutting the different colours, and I put red card on the inside and a little gold thread, gold bead rather, from these, and some red embroidery thread. So I can add those to that. There we go. So I hope you have fun having a go at that. It's probably something the kids could do as well, or just something on your own with a nice glass of wine. Wishing you all a really Merry Christmas. See you at some point. Bye.